Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are standing here in the Performance Composite shop at V2 down in Nannup, Australia. My name is Paul Taylor and I am a friend of Brook. I've known him for many decades, but my speciality is not Ducatis, it's not engineering, it is composites. So we're here today just to talk a little bit about performance composites and why I'm actually standing here talking to you. Brook has worked with me in Los Angeles, where I had my composite shop, and he contracted me to design and make the bodywork for the Hailwood bike. And so he visited my shop and he saw how we worked, and it made an impression on him. That was back in 1976, I think, so almost 10 years ago. But now I'm here in 2025 because he has asked me to come and figure out why none of the bodywork parts he makes fit the bikes. And he's been totally frustrated for many years and asked me to come and figure it out. Why is that? And the reason is the way the parts are made. And the fundamental issue is the resin that is used in the fabrication. All the parts that I've seen that he has here have been made with polyester resins. I have never used polyester resins in my work. And there's a number of reasons why, but the reason why you would not want to use those resins in making parts today is because when the resin cures, it shrinks. Depending on the resin, it could be between 5 and 12%, which is a lot. And that's because of the way polyester resin cures. And when you buy a bottle of resin, you get a little bottle of catalyst, and the catalyst is there to create a catalytic reaction, generate heat, which boils off styrene, which is a solvent in the polyester resins. And interestingly, when you go into a shop using polyester resins, it just stinks. And the stink is the styrene boiling off from the curing process of the polyester. And that causes a reduction in bulk volume and the piece shrinks. So imagine somebody has a part. If it's an original part, well, you've got the correct shape. But if it's a copy of an original part that has been made with polyester resin, the mold has shrunk, and then you make the part and that shrinks, and so the final part that is made is not the dimensions of the original pattern. And to show you that, and what frustrates a lot of people, is I have a tank here that Brook had in his workshop, and the first thing that, in terms of fitment, that I noticed, I mean, the fittings have been removed from this tank, but you can see the tank fittings here where the rubber mounts fit to the frame. And on the bike, a Ducati, the spacing of these mountings is 275 millimeters. I have this strap here, where the holes are 275 millimeters apart. And if I place this on over the mountings, can you see that on this side it's about maybe 20 millimeters narrower, and that's because this part has shrunk, and that is the issue that we're talking about, because this is shrunk so the mountings don't fit on the bike, and also this part here has shrunk, so when you put it on the bike it interferes with the frame, and that causes a lot of frustration. Other things that you can notice is the very wide bonding line here between the outside and the inside. And again, it's because this part, the inner part, has shrunk and it no longer fits, so they have to fit a lot of, I believe in Australia it's known as bog, to fill this gap, which does not make a good bond, sealing bond for the tank. So that's the issue. What's the solution? The solution is to use epoxy resins. And epoxy resins are two-part. They have the resin and the hardener. And they cure in a completely different way to the polyester. In modern epoxies, there are no solvents. And so there's no, well, I shouldn't say no, but very little reduction in bulk volume when it's cured. And when you're working with these, there is no smell. There is no smell in this workshop, which actually makes it much more pleasant to work with. So that's the first thing. The other thing is, for me, because I do performance composites, which means that the part needs to be sufficiently strong and stiff, but not overweight. And some of these parts are very heavy, and that's because there's more resin than is necessary. And when you use what's known as chopped strand fiberglass, where all the strands are random, that soaks up a lot of resin. So there's far more resin than is required for the structure. So the other thing that I've done for Brook is introduce the use of woven fabric. And here I have a couple of examples of the fabric. This is the actual fabric that we use, a number of layers. And if you look at this piece of fabric, you can see that the toes, which are the lines of material, are running vertically and horizontally. And that means that the part is very strong in this direction and this direction, 90 degrees, but not in that direction. And we compensate for that by cutting the material where the toes run diagonally at 45 degrees across. So this material is strong in this direction and in that direction, but not horizontally or vertically. So when we combine these layers together, you get a surface that is both strong this way and this way and this way and that way. So this is the fabric that we use, and we build up the layers. Where it's necessary to have more strength, we can include more layers. For example, around a bolt hole, we would use double the number of layers. But also it controls the resin content, and we can get very close to the optimum fiber to resin content, which is about 60% fiber and 40% resin. And that makes the part that you make, an optimal weight to strength. And that's why we call it performance composites. So I hope you found this informative and you can appreciate why the parts that are going to come out of this lamination shop, not made by me because I'm retired and I'm going home now. I might look a bit tired and disheveled because Brook has been working me hard for a retired man, but his guys who I have shown the techniques and helped to develop their skills will be making the parts, and the parts that you buy from V2 are going to fit and they're going to be optimal. So thank you very much and ride safe. We'll see you down the road. Cheerio.